Hi, I'm Wyatt.
And I'm Grace.
And you're listening to our dad and your host of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Vodyssey Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. I cannot tell you how excited I am to have to get the chance to talk to one of our members inside of our group, another one of our success stories and these member interviews. I know you guys love them when you're listening to them. Those of you watching on YouTube, you're able to see us here. We've got our member, Eli Grelecki, and his wife is not joining us, but she's a big part of this process as well, Lindsay. And we tried to talk her into it because she makes both of us look good, doesn't she? Doesn't she, Eli?
Absolutely does.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So we're gonna give her a decent amount of credit in this process because she's a big part of it. But Eli, thank you so much for joining us. We're super excited to hear your story, and I want everybody to hear your story and appreciate you sharing it with us today. So welcome.
Hey, thanks, man. I'm so pumped to be here. I'm so pumped to be on, and can't wait to share everything with you because you and the group have been such a big part of, what we've done over the last year. So
awesome, man. Well, I can tell you 100% that you and all of our members, this, but you guys make what I do so fun and just so enjoyable. And this is one of my favorite parts of exactly why I love it. And what I get to do every day is just to hear the journey and hear the success. And you guys you're starting to see the fruits of your labor. We're going to talk about some of that labor because it's not always easy, right? And that's one of the reasons why I love doing these interviews is so you can share the story so people don't always think that this just happens overnight, right?
No, exactly. Yeah, there's a lot to it, but part of that journey is having the guidance to help you get to the end goal.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, let's start off. Just tell everybody a little bit about where you are, where you guys live, what you do, what you're passionate about. It's been about a year journey getting here. It's been almost exactly a year ago now, right? When you joined Vodyssey.
Yep. Joined in December last year. So probably to this day, actually. It's right around this time.
That's awesome. Well, where are you from? What do you guys do?
Yeah, so I'm originally from Wisconsin, grew up in Wisconsin, hence the Aaron Rodgers signed football here, if you guys can see it.
Oh, nice, dude. That's he's a kind of a big deal out back in Wisconsin, right?
Sure is, man.
I've heard. No.
Yeah. But grew up in Wisconsin. Story for a different day, but met Lindsay in Las Vegas, and she happened to live out in Seattle. So I ended up moving out here about 5 or 6 years ago. And I own an online business. And so, I'm able to work remote. Let's see what else. I grew up, with a cabin in my family, back in Wisconsin, and grew up snowmobiling, four-wheeling, campfires, all the good stuff that comes with owning a cabin. And so as soon as I got out here, it's been on my mind for so long that I'm like, I can't wait to get, a cabin of my own. So it's that's the short version of
that's where it started. Awesome. So you guys, you don't have nearly as much gray in your beard as I have in mine. And so I've got a few years on you. You guys, it's fun to see you get started as early as you guys are. And is this your first venture into investing in real estate, or have you done any in the past?
So I have wanted forever to own real estate. Something about it, like I've always been such an investor at heart. Hence why my business is in the stock market. And I've been investing in stocks and everything for so long. But last year actually ventured into real estate. So we purchased 5 long-term rentals last year. And so, we've been kind of holding those, but as long-term rentals don't necessarily bring you any joy. You can't use them for anything.
Yeah.
So 5 long-term rentals, actually in the process of maybe selling some of those off right now. So with the thought of putting them into this asset class, or just ready to get out of them? No, absolutely rolling it right into the short-term rentals.
Awesome.
Yep.
Cool. And so you found us, you kind of started bought the long-term rentals, started getting interested in short-term rentals, and then joined our group almost like you said, literally almost exactly a year ago. And you guys really dove in and like right into the deep end. I remember you guys got into it and really just, your personality is, hey, if we're going to do something, we're going to do it all the way, which I love. And we really got after it. You guys rolled up your sleeves and you dove into the acquisition phase. Before we hit record, I was telling you, I'm so proud of you guys because you really went through this process. You dove into one of the hardest acquisition markets that I've ever been a part of, one of the hardest times to rehab a property, which you guys went through the rehab process. We're going to talk a lot about that. And then now you're hitting it to the end where you're getting those bookings, you got the finished product and seeing the fruits of your labor. So it's really been a journey the whole year, right? You guys dove in and you were under contract pretty quickly, right? If I remember right.
Yeah, we put in I think we put in 3 offers before we got accepted for the first one.
Yeah.
But one thing I really wanted to mention was how we actually transitioned from, long-term to short-term.
Yeah.
And it had to be, we moved quick, but last December sometime, Lindsay and I were talking about, how our skill sets match up to owning a short-term rental, an asset like this, because, I am an online business owner and Lindsay's like a host at heart. And so our skill sets kind of matched up. And it wasn't until I saw your training that we kind of put 2 and 2 together and we're like, man, I think we would be really good at this. It's not only investing, but it's also running your own small little business.
Yeah.
And both of us have experience with that. And Lindsay's got a marketing background. And so, we were like, wow, this fits us so well. And you have that aspect of it. And then you also have the aspect of, you get to enjoy this for yourself. And I think that what else can you really do that with?
Yeah.
And you can have something like this that's your own business and your investment and your future, but also something that you can really enjoy. So early on, your message just spoke directly to us. And we definitely hit the ground running. I joined and I watched the whole course in probably, I don't know, I've heard somebody else talk about it on the podcast before, but I was like, I think I beat that record even. I think it was like a day and a half and I watched everything. And so,
it's awesome.
You just right time.
Yeah. And you hit on a couple points that I want to unpack as we start to go through your journey and your process. And a couple of them that we've talked about before is one, these are like little businesses, right? Yeah. And so there's some pros to that and there's some cons to that, right? It doesn't mean that that's the best thing in the world. And as an entrepreneur, you understand you understand everything, marketing and customer experience and all of this stuff, which fits really, really well in the short-term rental space. Sometimes though, as an entrepreneur, on our skill sets as an entrepreneur, we sometimes will take more risks than we should, right? We're used to driving hard. And so sometimes entrepreneurs aren't the best investors because we kind of forget, we understand kind of how to maximize the asset, but sometimes we forget about the underwriting of the asset, right? And so those are some of those skill sets that we need to know. And I know your business revolves around investing. So it's a little bit different where you do, take the underwriting process serious, which I know you guys did, but it is because we can get involved and we do have the ability to maximize it with marketing and customer experience, all those things. It allows us to make the more money, right? Not all short-term rentals make a lot of money, but when your skill sets line up to that, the opportunity, when you're looking at the opportunity on your long-term portfolio and your short-term rental portfolio, the opportunities are totally different because you now have an asset that you can maximize, where on the long-term side, there's not a lot you can do to it, right? There's a market rent for a 3-bed, 2-bath in the city you're in, and there's not a lot you can do. And so it's exciting to hear you say how that resonated with you and how you really understand that, especially from your background. But even somebody without an entrepreneurial background, it's nice for them to hear that, because that is something that is available in this space that can be really fun and exciting to dive into.
Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, like when I first joined, I had no idea how to underwrite a deal. And you know, even from the start, I think that was the biggest transformation that I had within Vodyssey was how to underwrite that deal. And in our area, I've gotten so good at it by just looking now. It's like
Yeah.
second nature. And I always heard you talk about like, oh, I've done so many of these, and it's like it's so funny watching yourself go through those steps and being like, oh wow, like I can do that so quick now.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a huge advocate now to other people about starting in an area that because you know the area, you know why people use it,
Yes.
and you know what they're looking for when they go there,
Yeah.
and so just getting to know a certain area. And I mean, I was talking to a property manager at one of the houses that we were putting an offer in on one of the cabins, and he was like, kind of secretive, he's like, this property right here grosses 60,000 a year on, and now I look at that, I'm like, man, I don't even think those guys were running it like we would,
Yeah.
because I was like, you'd be doing way more than that just by knowing the area and knowing everything. And so, yeah, I mean, that was the biggest question that I got answered the first day that I joined.
Well, and I always tell people when you are diving into this game and you are underwriting a deal, right? We talk to a lot of strict investors that they want to know how to underwrite a deal, and we know how to underwrite the deals.
Yeah.
But there's this logic-based part of our underwriting, but there's also what I call the emotional side of the underwriting, and that's understanding the market. It's understanding why people go there. It's understanding what they love about the area, because ultimately that is how you're going to make the most money, is by understanding both sides of it, right? There's a market value, or there's a market like rent, if you will, right? There's properties like you said, the $60,000, and the guy's like, hey, this makes $60,000. It's like, okay, I get it, but what's the upside here? And by understanding the rest of the equation, you understand what the upside is and where you really should be operating. And that's what's so fun. And that's where, like, you've heard me talk about this, Eli, and I've talked about it in our group. I've talked about it on these podcasts. And so our listeners have probably heard me say this, but I'm just going to continue to beat this dead horse, is when you go invest, make sure it's an area that you love and that you want to enjoy and that you understand. And it doesn't mean you have to have been going there your whole life. Like, I buy in areas where, like, I never buy sight unseen areas. I'll always go if I find an area that looks like it's pretty investable and it has things that I'm drawn to, I'll go spend a week or two there, and I can get to know an area pretty well, whether I like it or not. Right. And so, but understanding the emotional appeal and why people go there, why they love it, what the profit drivers are, that's the non-logical side of the underwriting that we really need to understand.
Yeah. And I mean, like, you've said it before, but standing out in a crowded market, there's no better way to stand out in a crowded market than to deliver something to somebody that they are looking for in that area.
Yeah.
And that's the number one best way to stand out, and knowing what people are going to look for and knowing what you would want. Like, that's the first one was so, perfect for us, was this is what we would want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, if you want it, somebody else is going to want it too. Maybe not everybody, but somebody is, and there's going to be enough of them that you can make really good money in this game. And so let's transition now into, so you go through the course in, less than a weekend, right? And then you guys are making offers. You're learning the underwriting process. You're running the numbers. You're not getting all the offers, right? You found some good deals you got beat out on. And ultimately this property came up. Tell us a little bit about the property and how that process went.
Yeah. So, initially after going through the course and kind of, learning how to work through these deals, we started seeing some good deals pop up, and they weren't popping up often. You've said it before, but this is low season. We made our offer. I think we got accepted January 2021. Yeah. So not a lot of deals, not a lot of people going out in the snow to look at properties. But we put an offer on, I think it was 2 or 3 other properties beforehand. And, they ended up going like 100K over asking. And by our third one, I remember reaching out to you, and I see them in the group every now and then, people getting discouraged.
Yeah.
But by the third one, this property came up, and it needed a lot of work. And I remember my original email to you was, this is going to need a renovation. How do you feel about it? And, I remember being super excited about getting the offer accepted because we kind of had a chance to write our own story with this property. And we got to pick color schemes, flooring, aesthetics of it, everything. And so getting that offer accepted and then, hitting the ground running on a renovation was just super fun for us. I mean, it was great bonding time for, Lindsay and I. And it was just such a fun process. I got to buy some new tools. But yeah, it was such a fun process there.
That's awesome. Tell me, I have an idea what my answer was. Do you remember what my answer was when you asked about the renovation?
Yeah, I would have to look exactly what it was back on the email, but I think you asked me if I got any contractor bids or anything, or what it was.
Yeah, usually right now I'll ask somebody, have you done a renovation?
Yep.
How confident are you in the team that you've got around you to do it? Because renovations right now, I mean, they're tough, right? And you guys did a lot of work. You had a lot of fun with it. I know I saw some pictures of you guys and you and your friends hanging out for the weekend, and just making a fun time of it. And so, and you guys, it's awesome that you were able to do that. But I always tell people, because there's material shortages and labor shortages right now can be stressful and it can delay things, right? It probably took you a little longer than you thought it was going to take you. And those are the other things that we talk about.
Yeah. And that's completely true. I mean, we had to fight like the lumber prices. Granted, we didn't use a whole ton of lumber, but we certainly bought lumber. But we had our garage doors were delayed by about 6 months. We ordered our hot tub like 3 months ago, and that's probably not even coming in for another few months.
Yeah.
So we definitely fought some of the shortages. But we just made the best out of it. We're just happy to be in service by the end of the year. Yeah.
There's a huge difference in when I talk to so many people, right? In the attitude you take going into it. And you and Lindsay have had this amazing attitude the whole time. You've enjoyed the process. That there's going to be bumps in the road. There were no doubt frustrations along the way, but you guys have just had it. You've carried that same attitude all the way through. Like, hey, we're going to just absolutely absorb this, enjoy it, learn from it, and just have a lot of fun with it, versus looking at it and saying, man, this is just, I can't get this now, or this is delayed, or this is delayed. And it makes such a huge difference in how that journey goes for you. And it's been so fun watching you guys along this journey and being a small part of it, and just, kind of tagging ourselves along vicariously through it. And but a lot of it is because of your guys' attitude through it. You've taken such a great attitude and having so much fun with it. And I always tell people, it's one of the reasons why we named our company Vodyssey. We put the V in front of Odyssey, because Odyssey is this epic journey, and it's this epic journey with all these ups and downs, right? And that's what we're on. And so, I've had so much fun watching you guys through that process.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I know, like, I've hit you up so many times on random questions, and always got such great feedback. But for us, like, throughout this process, like, taking the right approach, but also, like, enjoying that time with your significant other.
Yeah.
And then, like, just the way that we work together with her, design, and her, however she like can design or decorate a room and whatever. And I do it. Like, I'm just like, sure, I'll get the wood and do it.
Yeah.
But, I remember so many times we were like, hey, what should we do with this loft upstairs? And you're like, well, if you could add a room on. And that's like what Lindsay told me an hour beforehand. And she's like, yeah, see. So, like, all these times, all these questions we ask, she says the same thing. And I was always like, well, I'll ask Sean. And you guys had the same answer every time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's just such a fun process.
That is fun. Yeah. And like I said, I've had so much fun watching you guys go through it. And so tell us about, you bought the property. It was a rehab. Where was it at? Tell us a little bit about the property. It's one of my favorite types of properties I was telling you about before, but tell everybody a little bit about the property.
So the property is about an hour and a half outside of Seattle, just over the mountain range. I think it's the Cascades. But it's kind of ironic. My cabin when I was a kid was about an hour and a half away. So I wanted to kind of stick in that drive time.
Yeah.
But it's right over the mountain pass. We're still at about like 2,200 feet elevation. But it's near Suncadia. And if you're from Seattle, you'll know what Suncadia is, because it's like a really nice big vacation resort. They've got golf courses, wineries, all this stuff. We're real close to it. We're not, paying ridiculous HOA prices like in Suncadia, but we're right outside. So we have a constant flow of people that come from Seattle that are just looking to come over the mountains and see snow and, and everything that goes along with, some of the winter activities. Like we're kind of near a golf course that turns into like a sledding hill. So seeing all the people that book our place, like they're 9 times out of 10 from Seattle and want to just come over and see snow. So it's really nice to be within driving distance. And, I think that a big trend is going to be over the next, few years is those driving destinations, the driving vacations. You don't have to fly every time. You don't have to go, hours and hours away. You can drive within 2 hours and, go stay at a cool place. And, one of the benefits of living in Seattle is you've got ocean, you've got forest, you've got mountains. You can pick what you want.
Yeah.
And I on the mountain.
I 100% agree with you with the drive to destinations, and these destinations that are a couple hours outside of major metropolitan areas. Like when we start, we're about ready to start doing our Facebook advertising and your own website and direct bookings. Like we won't even go outside of Seattle, right? You don't need to. Like we're not gonna try to attract somebody from California or Florida or anywhere else. You've got a major metropolitan area. It's really fun. It's one of the funnest things and one of the biggest benefits, I believe, of the short-term rental industry and what Airbnb has done and become as far as those big OTAs and making really these smaller destinations very well known. And there's a lot of people even from Seattle that might have moved there like you, right? You came from Wisconsin, you're in Seattle. You might not have really known some of these areas exist outside of some of the popularity of the short-term rental market. So it's really fun. And that's why we're seeing such explosive growth in a lot of these areas. And
that's a big thing. That's a big point too, is I would say over half of the people that I've booked so far have moved to Seattle from Texas, Vegas. Can't remember the other ones offhand, but they want to come out. They've moved out here. Now they want to go play in the snow.
Or yeah.
So, and they explore, and they've may have heard about, the area, but they might not, know exactly what's there, but they know that if they go over to the mountains, they're going to be in snow and they're going to, be able to explore. And so the best thing that we can do is obviously attract them with our marketing and our pictures and stuff, but also give them a great experience when they get there. What are you interested in? Why are you here? Birthday, anniversary. Are you, do you like wine tasting? Do you like breweries? And fortunately, we're in a place that has, all of those things.
Yeah. Awesome. And so the property, so it's just outside of Seattle in the mountains there. And it's an A-frame cabin, right? That you guys found. I told Eli before we hit record, one of my favorite property types are A-frames in the mountains. And so I've been, like I said, when I say I'm living vicariously through him and Lindsay, I'm very much trying to do that because I love the property. I love the area. It turned out awesome. You guys did an amazing job on the remodel. And for those of you listening or watching on YouTube, we're going to have the link to Eli and Lindsay's property in the show notes so you can check it out. It's and if you're in that area, you ought to go stay at it. And it turned out amazing. We got the benefit of seeing the befores. You guys will see the afters. And it turned out, it's just a lot of fun. Not a huge cabin, right? Nothing crazy. It's 2 bed, 2 bath, right?
Yep. So it's about 1,800 square feet. And, the previous owner, he built it and I think in 95 and built like before like A-frames were cool, like he built, the ceilings are 30 feet tall. Yeah. And like at the peak, I guess, but like, it makes for such a beautiful view of walking into this place and seeing the windows that are right in front of you and just like the shock factor, even before we did any of the renovations, you walk in and you're like, wow, this is super cool. And something about those A-frames.
Yeah.
And, we're perched up on the mountains a little bit. We got mountains in the background. You can't really see it, but there's a river, there's a golf course. I mean, it's like literally everything that we were, hoping it would be.
Yeah. Have you guys been able to use it a little bit since you've got it done?
So, we joke about that a lot because we were so excited to recoup funds, and then now everybody else staying there. We're so jealous of them. And, Lindsay, back in like August, she was bugging me about buying Christmas trees. And I'm like, Lindsay, like Christmas isn't for, however long. And she's like, no, we got to get this Christmas tree. And so we found this Christmas tree for sale, and it's like, basically you just put it together and all the lights are already on it.
Yeah.
And so we went up last weekend or 2 weeks ago, and we put this Christmas tree, and it's beautiful. It's like 15 feet tall. It's absolutely gorgeous and decorated for Christmas. And like, I just got so sad because I was like, I want to stay here. One of my big things was I wanted to put in a wood stove. And so we got a nice clear glass, like with a clear glass front, so you can see the fire, wood stove. And it's just my favorite thing, just lighting a fire and just hanging out, know? So we haven't got to use that as much, but we're
right. That's the drawback of doing a great job with the property, right? It's so let's talk about that. Let's talk about some of the numbers, results. Let's start with acquisition. I'd love to hear, and I don't even actually know these numbers on the budget for the rehab, where you ended up coming in at. I know you had to, what the after repaired value is, because you guys added some value to the property at this stage. And then we'll talk about when it came live in the bookings.
Yeah. So we purchased for $550, and I think it was listed for $525, but we weren't messing around. We're like, we're going to offer this. Mm-hmm. And they had a review date like 4 or 5 days after. And we were like, no, let's just end it here. We were pretty aggressive. Yeah. The family was like, sure, we'll accept before the review date. And so we set a budget of about $100,000 for the renovation.
Okay.
And we ended up spending a little bit more because the deck, we ended up putting in like a composite deck with really nice tempered glass, like, panels. And
so you don't cut out the view.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we spent a little bit more on the deck. And then obviously, we bought like a really nice 6-person hot tub that's hopefully coming in soon. But we went over a little bit on the budget, not by much. I think we ended up all in was maybe like $150K.
Okay.
That's including furnishing it. Yeah. And we did not skimp on materials. Mm-hmm. We went really nice beds. We put a lot of thought into everything, and everything was for a purpose. We didn't want to go really expensive. We didn't want to go, cheap. Everything was really thought out. Yeah. And, but we suspect we probably added about maybe $250,000, $300,000 in equity. And luckily by, doing all of this ourselves, we, are able to use that equity now. I'm actually in the process of applying for a HELOC, or an all-in-one like HELOC loan.
Yeah.
And so, we can obviously touch on that later, but, adding all of that value, it was worth the year of work.
Sure. Yeah. It's like giving yourself X amount of a raise, right? I mean, you're definitely getting paid for it. It's not
exactly.
For sure. Yep. And so that all finished up. When did you finish up?
So we finished up about beginning of, or midway through November. And that was like after we put the polish on. That's when we got the clean. That's when we got, everything ready to rent.
So right about the Thanksgiving mark.
Yep. And then we opened our calendar for Thanksgiving week. And within a few hours, we booked Thanksgiving, basically, I have the numbers in front of me here, but we got 2 families in literally from November 24th to December 1st. And they were amazing guests, like the best. And so it was such an easy way to kind of ease in.
Yeah.
But they got the 20% discount through Airbnb. And so we were happy, they were happy, they left us an amazing reviews. And so it kind of kicked off our journey on such a positive, fun note. And, we set out stuff for Thanksgiving for, cooking stuff and the big turkey tray, and just knowing that people were there enjoying that meal with their families was just icing on the cake.
Yeah, that's so awesome. And I hope people are hearing the small touches. When we talk about delivering the fairy tale, first, you didn't skimp on the rehab and everything else, right? But then you take time to do have they're there for a Thanksgiving meal, and you take the time to put out the small things that they would need for cooking, and then the turkey trays, things like that. Those aren't huge costs and huge things to do, but it makes a huge difference in the experience that your guest has when they go there. And we talk about delivering the fairy tale and having these unique, themes and everything else. And I always tell people many times it's these little things that make just a huge difference. And it's so fun. I can hear it when you're talking about it, how fun it was for you to be part of their holiday, right? Yes. And such a great part of their holiday. And so whether it's the holidays or whether it's a family vacation in the summertime, whatever it is, going that little extra mile, and you made such a difference in their experience. And now all of a sudden, guess who they're going to book next time they come back, right? You already know they're coming back, and it makes it so fun because you've taken, you've put your heart and your soul into it. They feel that, and now the property starts to have a soul and a story and everything else. And you just start to develop that along the way.
Yeah, and another shout out to my wife here. She is born to be a host. And so, she left out, coffee and all these small things for Thanksgiving that, just made their Thanksgiving. And it's small things. And it's we had another guest that it was her birthday, and we got her eggs and cake mix and some frosting. And that was mentioned in one of the reviews, that was such a nice touch. And it was, maybe $5-10.
Yeah.
We leave waters out, we leave snacks, and we had kids come and we left, some goldfish out for them. And it's just small things that, go a long way with people. And, I've stayed at places that they leave one roll of paper towel and one garbage bag for you, and you're staying there for 3 days.
Yeah.
And you're so we left out tons of paper towels, toilet paper, extra everything. We have I forgot box that has toothbrushes, floss, stuff in it. And because when you think about it, they could have chosen a hotel, right? Yeah, you might not have the view, you might not have the amenities. That's why we love Airbnb. We get the amenities, we get to pick the location. But at a hotel, if you think about it, they walk in, they're greeted, they have waters handed to them. They might have some beer or a snack in their room, and they have, a pool available, whatever it is, but they got the robes and they feel pampered. Yeah. And so we wanted to extend that same feeling to somebody staying at our property, and it just made so much more sense to us to listen to people when they say why they're booking, because most people are booking for a reason. Anniversaries, birthdays, certain things. And it's if you can go, if I asked you right now, would you accept $20 for a 5-star review? Would you pay $20 for a 5-star review? It would be yes every single time. And so $20 will go such a long way in how people feel when they walk in. Seeing that Christmas tree, we have a ring cam on the front of our cabin. And basically, we don't really use it that much other than just, hey, people got there safe. And so I had this recording of this family showing up and making sure that they were there safe and everything. And I just so happened to hear they opened the door, and the father and the little kid were like, wow, and it was just that's why we did all of this.
That's awesome.
That's what we're trying to deliver to people.
That's awesome. So that was right out of the gate, like you said, within minutes, you got those booked, you got the holiday. We're recording this December 16th. So you've literally been live for a month. And what do the bookings look like right now through the end of the year? Because right now, let's be honest, this is not the busy time of the year in the area, right? You're actually in your slow time and slow season up there. I mean,
we're on the way down to the slow, like the melt off season.
Yeah.
But this is not peak season by any means.
Yeah.
But as far as numbers, I feel I do have to add that when I did the underwriting, I put myself in the 75th percentile bracket because I was like, you know what? I'm not going to settle to be one of the mediocre places. I have enough people around me right now that can help me achieve. I want to be in the 95th percentile.
Right.
Yeah. I did all my underwriting on the 75th, and it was like, I think it came out to be like 460 or somewhere in average a night. December, we are 75% occupied at 550 a night. And January, we're already 45% booked at 550 a night.
That's awesome.
And so that's ahead of where we should be.
Yeah.
And, I'm just so pumped that, you can control your own outcome in most cases, right? Yeah. And you can say, I want to go the extra mile to be in that top tier property. And I think that having a group like you have and having the mentorship around you just helps so much in getting set up for that. Yeah. I was chatting with Mike Pine actually on a call yesterday because I signed on with him as a client. And he was like, I started telling him some numbers and he was like, wow, you Vodyssey guys are crushing it. And so, it's like, you have that factor. And, something that really resonates with me, not to get too far off track here, but something that resonated with me one time was you said that most of the people out there right now are just running mom and pop shops. And like, this is a business to me. Mm-hmm. And with a little bit of knowledge, you don't even have to be a business owner. You don't even have to be an entrepreneur. You can run your place better than a significant chunk of people out there right now that are just throwing their house up with iPhone pictures and, not thinking through what somebody would feel like when they come and book the place. Yeah. And so, there's so much opportunity out there right now. This is such an exciting time to be involved in this, especially in this asset class.
It's so fun. And it's so fun hearing you talk about it. I can't say that enough. And it's with like our Odyssey family, right? We've got 800, we got 800 Eli and Lindsay's in there. Right. And it's so, and when Eli's talking about, those of you that are listening and watching this, he's talking about the 50th percentile and the 75th percentile, the 90th. When we underwrite these deals, what he's referring to is we're looking at what the middle of the market does. We're looking at what the top 75th percentile of properties in a market do, and then what the top end of the market is doing. And then we decide, okay, where does this property stack up? Where does my experience stack up? And that's exactly what we're shooting for. We're saying, hey, listen, we're not going to play the game in the middle. And because to be honest, that's where all the competition is in the middle. And so it's actually less competitive at the top than it is in the middle. And so once people start to really understand that, and it doesn't take a lot, right? It takes those of you that are listening. I know, because I'm just sitting here listening and having an amazing conversation. And you can hear when Eli and Lindsay put this together, they care about this and they're excited about it and having fun with it. And that shows. And this is just the beginning, right? You're doing this without a bunch of reviews. You're doing this right now without a lot of the repeat guests. When that stuff starts to snowball, which it will, because of how you're taking this, it's why we can talk about some of the crazy returns we talk about and that we're able to get. It's not that everybody does it. Most people, frankly, probably are close to that break even when we look at deals. But when you start to take those few extra steps, and like Eli said, would you pay 20 extra bucks to make somebody's get a 5-star review, but really all you're doing is making their day, right? How about the lady who's coming in for a birthday and you've got the cake mix and the eggs and the birthday candles. And it's like, hey, how fun is that? Just a little thing, because all people want to do is feel loved, right? And that's all you're doing. You're saying, hey, listen, we're thinking about you. We appreciate you coming in. We hope you enjoy this as much as we do. And that's what it's about, right?
100%, and if you think about it, if you take it a step further and you think about, that family coming in that's celebrating a birthday and they have kids and they're all in the kitchen making a cake, that's a memory that they're going to have for years, right? And it's like, if you could be a small part of that memory and have it at your place, like there's nothing better, know? And so like, they're going to think of you next birthday, they're going to be like, hey, remember that time we went to, Cle Elum and stayed in that place and made that cake? And, so it's just so fun.
It's so fun. It's so awesome. Yeah. It's just a fun process, and it just continues. You have fun with it, because now, this weekend, when the new guests check in, they're coming in for a reason, and then next weekend and everything else. And so you're a part of just a fun time and a process, right? Everybody's happy to be there. And are there going to be issues with the house at some point? Are you going to have something come up? Yes. But the way you handle it and the way you go about it, it's just all part of the process and how much fun you have.
Yeah. So when you expect it too, I mean, like, there's things that you can do to get your mindset in a space of like, the last guest accidentally brought home our dish remote. So she lived in Seattle, and she's like, hey, I'll come. I got to give this remote back to you, and we went and met her and grabbed it. We got to drive up there tomorrow. But I was like, hey, worst case scenario, I get to go up to my place for a few hours before the next guest checks in.
Right. Right. Things do happen once in a while, right? But it's just part of it. And you have fun with it. You have a good attitude. That's what makes the biggest difference is the way you look at it. And so one of the things we didn't talk about, Eli, is how did you find, you didn't do cash, you got a loan on the property. If I remember, it was an asset-based loan, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yep. And so, a lot of people do traditional financing. And then you guys were able to go the asset-based route, which is another popular route with, and for those of you listening, those are loans that you don't have to personally qualify. You put a little bit more down, you pay a little bit higher interest rates, but the property itself qualifies for the loan. And so it's a good option, especially for somebody, if your debt to income is really high, or for self-employed people. I use those loans a lot because we write off so much stuff that they work out really well for if you're a self-employed person.
Yeah. And, it all depends on your personal strategy. And like for me, our personal strategy was hoping that this would snowball. And I mean, there's so many opportunities with this right now, like what you can do and how creative you can get. And if you're only looking to buy one property, like Jeff in the group can easily help you out and get such a great loan. But our plan was to, get the asset-based loans on a bunch of different properties, pay them down, eventually maybe convert to some sort of portfolio loan or whatever it is. But you get a lot of benefits with the asset-based loan because it's not usually, depending on the loan, but it's not counting against your personal debt to income. So now next year, Lindsay and I can, go buy our primary residence and just kind of continue to build up, some of our properties, especially what Mike's helping me with the tax benefits you get from
with the bonus depreciation and material participation, all that stuff. Yeah. So Mike's the CPA that he's referring to. And that's a great point on the asset-based loans and why financing is such a big part of the strategy process of what type of loan you're going to use, because you're exactly right that those loans don't typically hit your personal credit reports and your personal debt to income and all those things. So you can get unlimited. You can have, you don't end up hitting a max of 10 like you would with traditional loans. Right. And so you can just continue to put those properties or get more properties with that type of financing.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I used Visio lending and they have kind of taken what I gave them with my underwriting and, they've developed a relationship almost with Vodyssey students. It seems like they were like, oh, we trust that, exactly what you're bringing us. And I'm sure they do their own due diligence and everything like that. But, they understand that, hey, when we go to them, we know what we're talking about here.
Yeah. It's interesting. So we've got a couple, especially the asset-based lenders, particularly because they underwrite it based on the property, right? They're not underwriting the person. So some of the top asset-based lenders in the nation now, there's 3 of them. that are direct lenders. But there's a lot of brokers out there. These are the top
Yes.
3 direct lenders actually call me up and want to know how we underwrite deals, because to your point, all of our students and our members are going to them and saying, and they're like, man, these are already underwritten. Our underwriting process is actually a little more stringent than what they use on the lending side, which makes us feel good, right? Nothing's ever perfect, but we're pretty dang close with, and we take a pretty conservative approach to it. So it's a lot of, it makes it, especially when you're making a big purchase, that piece of the puzzle should be there. It's not always, okay, I can make X amount of dollars. There are times where we're like, hey, the top end of this market doesn't look that great compared to the acquisition, and they don't underwrite really well. And so you have to be able to know that. If you don't know that, you need to learn.
Yeah. I mean, like before I joined, like I can't even think about flying blind into something and being like, just buying it, based on whatever it is that it's for sale, or, and then going through all these steps and getting to the end and being like, oh, I might not even make some money here.
I missed the mark there. Yeah. Maybe I was right. Maybe I wasn't, right?
Yeah. And there's just such a great confidence about going into it, knowing what your ranges are and what your offer should be and what you're expecting as the outcome. And it's like, it's just more of a process than like a guessing game. Like, I mean, like just imagine buying a place and being scared, wondering if it's going to be profitable or not.
Yeah.
And some people get into that situation because they aren't educated, and they haven't gone through the due diligence like we do here.
Yeah. And it is unfortunate. We have the fortunate ability to talk to a lot of people that are in this game. And unfortunately, some of them have gotten into properties that they, and they're like, hey, Sean, I just need to learn the marketing side because my property's not performing and I need to make it perform. And sometimes it's not just that in marketing, you can't, sometimes you don't have the right property to be able to maximize what you're looking to do. And if you have the right property, you can make all kinds of adjustments, and you can adjust your marketing, you can adjust your messaging, all these different things we can do. If you have the wrong property, that's really difficult. And so, you really need to understand that, and the market too. You have to understand the property and the market. And so, well, listen, Eli, I want to respect your time. I told you an hour, and I know that we're rolling up on that hour, but I have a couple more questions for you, and kind of similar, but I want to see if they're different answers. And so, as you've gone through this whole process, you've learned a lot. You're getting ready for that next acquisition now, and through that experience, going through the tough acquisition phase, going through the tough rehab phase, because there's a lot of people, and if they're going to get discouraged, that's typically when they get discouraged. Is there anything that you think would be helpful for people to hear as they're diving into the acquisition in these tough markets right now?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it would be just keep going. I know, like, I personally have gotten discouraged, by making a few offers and them not getting picked. But you know what? That saved me, so much time and money from learning that lesson and not going so far, getting emotional about it, getting so far over my head. I remember putting in one offer and the real estate agent was like, dude, you're not even going to compete. And he's like, you should raise it to this. And I was like, nope. And, my words of wisdom would be, just keep going. Like, you're going to hit that one, and everything happens for a reason. And if you're doing everything that you can do, and, you're putting in all the time, and you're making sure that you're submitting your best offer, and that if you get accepted, you're going to turn this into a great property.
Yeah.
I know for a fact that you'll end up getting one. Yeah. And it's just, sticking it out. And this is a really tough market. In our first property, we ended up having to go the rehab route because nobody wanted to do it. They all wanted turnkey. And, we said, well, that's too bad. Everybody's going to miss out on a great property because, we're going to get this one and we're going to put some time and love into it. And, that's how we had to get our first one. And, Fortunately now we do have a little bit of equity to use for our next one, and maybe we won't go the rehab route, but honestly, it'd just be keep pushing, get creative. I called a few different property managers, and they called me for deals. Granted, it's not what I was looking for, but like, you put something in their ear that they might have a buyer, like, they'll call you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great advice. And I always tell people that acquisition phase right now feels like you're running a marathon. It feels like they're going through this 12-round heavyweight match. And sometimes if you're in round 3, you just got to keep pushing, right? Yep. And great advice on not chasing the wrong deal. Trust the process. Trust if you're running your numbers, trust what those numbers are. And it doesn't matter what somebody says. If a realtor comes to me and says, hey, Sean, you're not going to get this deal unless you make it here. Well, if that top end of what they're telling me I need, if that doesn't mean I have to win every deal. I'm not going to chase the deal to the point where it doesn't make sense. And I think that's a great piece of advice as well, because sometimes we feel so much pressure to go above and beyond just to get something locked up. And that's not the case either. Just realize the right property is going to come around. I always tell people too, keep in mind that the acquisition is a short-term phase of a long-term process.
Yes.
Right.
100%. And, if anybody's ever used eBay before, when you're bidding on something, right, and it's like 7 cents and you're bidding on it, all of a sudden it's $200 and you're like, well, now I just got to win. Yeah. Right. And this, let somebody else.
This isn't the game to play that. Yeah. You don't want to always be the winner. We want to lock them up when it's the right deal, and the right deal will come around. I 100% agree with you on that. It will. Yep. It will. Awesome. Good. Great piece of advice. So if you go back to the very beginning, let's say a year ago, it's literally almost a year ago. And before you started this entire process and dove into the short-term rental game, what piece of advice would you give yourself as you start this journey?
My first piece of advice would just be trust the process. And then number 2 would just be open to trying things and learning things. And, I love to experiment with things. I love to learn, like I love to invest into mentors. And I love to dive into things. And there's so many things, like, I don't want to get too technical on anything, but like, man, there's so many cool things you can do with this type of asset class that you can't do with a lot of other things. If you're realizing that you're not booking up as much as you can, there's so many different tweaks that you can make. Yeah. And like, there's so many different things you can add and stories you can tell. And, I think my piece of advice would just be to trust the process and look forward to the outcome, because, it's been such a fun process that, has been taxing at times, but like, getting to this point now is all worth everything that we've been through in the last year. It's just sticking to that. There's something I heard somewhat recently is the best performing stock accounts at like Fidelity were from people who were dead. And that's because they couldn't change anything.
They couldn't mess with them.
They couldn't mess with it.
That's interesting.
And it's like, those were the best performing accounts and they made the most money. And it's like, you know what, if you could just have your plan and stick to your plan and just see it through till the end, which you'll get there. It might be tough and everybody has excuses about timing and, all this other stuff, but like, you'll find a way, and you can, when you get to the end, like, it'll be worth it.
Awesome. Love it. And I think that has a lot to do with your guys' attitude as well. You guys have such a great attitude about the process and the journey and you have so much fun with it. And, you know where you're going. You guys have you guys are very goal driven and have long-term plans. And I know, talking to you guys, I know exactly what you're going to do, and you're going to exceed it every time because your attitude's there, and you're just trusting that process and focused on the outcome. I think is a great piece of advice.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Eli, I can't tell you how much I enjoy talking to you every time we get a chance to chat. And I'm glad that some of our listeners could listen in and watch this and tell Lindsay we missed her immensely on this. And so those of you that are interested, we're going to post Eli and Lindsay's property link in the show notes. Really go check it out. If you can stay in it, book it, go check it out. It's a really great property, but really go check it out as well, just for inspiration. They've done an amazing job with it. They continue to add pictures, and they're really starting to tell a story with the property as this property matures as an asset. And so go pay attention to it. For if you want to know how to do something right, go look at their property. And so Eli, thank you again for joining us. It's been a pleasure, and I know that there's a lot of our listeners will very much appreciate listening to your story and get a lot of inspiration from it as well. I know when I listened to it, I got excited when you're telling us about the experiences that you're providing for people, and it's fun to hear that process.
Well, thank you for having me, man. And since I joined, I thought about this moment being on and being able to tell my story and give you guys credit for helping me get here. And this was something that I've been looking forward to for a year. So I'm really thankful to be here, and thanks for everything that you guys have done and the group that you've created and the community that surrounds you. I mean, it's incredible. It's great.
Awesome, man. Well, we couldn't be more proud of you guys, and so excited for the future. And it's just the beginning, my friend. We're gonna have a lot of fun. And so those of you listening, thank you once again for joining us on the Vodyssey Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. We're going to sign off today. And if you got anything out of this episode, our show continues to grow because of people like you sharing it with other people that you think might enjoy listening and watching. If you are so kind to leave us a review and give us a rating, those things do help in both the podcast episodes and on YouTube. And so, as I always say today, go do one thing today, just one little thing that you start to do to help you build that life that you don't want to take a vacation from. And so until next time, we'll see you all. Cheers, my friends.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Vacation Rental Revolution podcast. Share this with other people you think need to hear about it. And don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. Hey Grace, is there a website? Yes! For more amazing content and expert advice, visit Vodyssey.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.